No, it's actually I'm Ingram, and we were just looking for my next guest's 2 books that we have here. There are actually 3 books that he wrote, and we don't know where they are. You can find the programs. Not today. It's going to take a couple of days to bring them back up because we had a computer crash that lost some of our links to the stored things, and Rogers was one of them. But he's written books on the warm, dry boat, and he's written a beautiful log that has a picture of his wife in a waterfall on the cover. He's done a bit on steel-hulled boats. But when I met this gentleman, Roger McAfee, he was a lawyer, and we met over a mutual friend's business situation and became acquaintances, is about the best way I can describe it. But in the past, he was a Crown prosecutor as well. So he's been a prosecutor, a defense lawyer, a business lawyer. And today he's here to talk about something that might even be controversial. You wanted to talk about justice in Canada.
Well,
is that what you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, and more specifically, the RCMP and what's been going on lately.
Are we talking about those lasers or the tasers out in the Vancouver airport and so on? Or
only incidentally.
Or the drunk cops on the second narrows and the Lionsgate Bridge?
No, only incidentally. There's a lot more
to it. Or the RCMP officer that just killed somebody in Ottawa?
No, not specifically. There's things that are far more fundamental, and it got started when a police officer, RCMP officer, sent you an email, and I kept a copy of it because I want to use that.
Sent me an email.
Yeah, and you forwarded it on, and it says as follows: as a 20-year member of the force, I have to say
I remember this one,
that this has been the most difficult year I have ever had, as far as the media beating the hell out of us. He then goes on to say he was upset because the local TV stations didn't cover
the funeral
in the States. Now, it's interesting. He says it's been the most difficult year I have ever had as far as the media beating the hell out of us. He doesn't say it's the most difficult year because some of my fellow officers clearly were lying on at various and sundry things. And I noticed the other day, a couple of days ago, on the news, that in dealing with this Weibo Ludwig situation,
looking funny again too, isn't it?
The Alberta Cowboys, they went and did an investigation of him, and they arrested him.
Again,
They arrested him, and then they had to let him go. Well, the interesting thing is, they didn't say, okay, we maybe overreacted or maybe screwed up. What they said was, well, you know, if it had been in Alberta, we, the police, can charge in Alberta, but if we come to British Columbia, which is where a trial would be, because that's where the crime was committed.
The Crown prosecutor.
What they said, yeah, the Crown prosecutor looks at this, and he's got to be satisfied. Well, we're satisfied we got the right man, but, you know, well, now, here's another police officer.
No, this is since you said, I want to talk about this.
Yeah. So what they end up with in a situation like this is the police officers blaming somebody else. They take no responsibility whatsoever for, and with the Ludwig thing, who knows what the situation will turn out to be. But in British Columbia, you know, the police do a report. They take it into Crown Counsel. Crown Counsel, senior Crown Counsel, are very experienced and very knowledgeable people. They look at it and they say, there's not enough here. What do the police do? Oh, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. We're the police. We know. And that is a huge problem in the RCMP. Massive problem, as a matter of fact. And this 20-year veteran, he blames the problem on the press.
On the media, rather than what people are saying that the media are picking up. Yeah. Well, look, just for the record, since that went to you, and then I can't remember if you phoned or emailed me saying you wanted to talk about it, and your experience is such that you're eminently qualified for it, I've just named the off-duty RCMP officer who's now being charged with murder in Ottawa. We've got 2 more RCMP officers charged with drunk driving, just locally here. And there was another one that was also silly, the Weaver thing, Ludwig. And there's another one that's sort of silly around here too. What one was that? I can't remember.
But you see, that isn't the biggest problem. Sure.
Well, we haven't had any VPD problems in the last while, and that's a big operation.
Well, VPD's it's a little different kind of police force. Okay, first of all, it's a local police force, so they tend to be more responsive and things of that nature. But the important thing here is that what we have is the RCMP who blame everybody else for the problems that there may be.
That they generate
now,
themselves.
There's no doubt in any organization mistakes are going to be made. And I'm not focusing on those.
There are a lot
if
of
an
mistakes.
individual officer, or a group go out and they bust into the wrong place because they misread the search warrant, or the search warrant's wrong, that's a mistake. And these things happen. Yep. I don't have a problem with that. What really bothers me is when the corporate culture of the RCMP kicks in and they start to stonewall and they start to lie about what happened.
Yep.
Now, the thing that's even worse is the press is complicit in allowing this to happen. For instance, you listen to some of the talk shows that go on, Christy Clark shrilling away, about out of one side of her mouth, she says she can't believe anything the RCMP say at the inquiry commission at the airport thing. Then, on the other side of her mouth, in the same show or the next day, she's saying, well, the Bacon brothers should not have been released, even though they hadn't at that point been convicted of anything. They should be kept in jail because they're bad guys. Mm-hmm. Somebody says, how do you know? She says, well, the police said so. So on one hand, she says she can't believe what the police say. On the other hand, she says, well, they say so, so we'll lock somebody up even though they haven't been convicted of anything at that point. So, and you get that kind of thing going on in the press, which confuses people. And then you have Bill Good, who gets on and he spoke with the prosecutor and wanted to know, in effect, whether prosecutors kept track of wins or losses. And the prosecutor, quite properly, said no. And they don't. Okay? And Bill Good, his comment was, well, that's like the Vancouver Canucks not keeping track of the score. Mm-hmm. Well, here's another guy who hadn't a clue what our judicial system is all about.
It shouldn't matter. Wins or loses shouldn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
If it's done properly. It's what it should have been.
That's right. It matters not whether the prosecutor, quote, wins or loses. But back to the RCMP thing. There's a corporate culture in that organization that's really dangerous, okay? Really dangerous. Because once you reach the white shirt level, the officers, then protecting the force and the force's reputation at all costs
is paramount.
That becomes paramount. And as soon as you get into that, you've got all kinds of other problems. When getting to the facts in any given case cease to be important. What becomes important is how is it going to make us look good or bad. And what we really have to do, and what is really scary, is when you get RCMP officers, and it's been clear that they have been less than candid in many cases. And if that fellow hadn't had that video,
the video just made it.
Then of course what would have happened is that we know because their original position was before they saw the video.
Oh, I know. Let me just reintroduce you.